Yes, sir. Welcome back to Boss Uncaged Academy. I know y'all like, what the hell is wrong with this dude and what is he playing? Why the hell is he playing? And anybody got time for that? So today we're talking about what is private labeling and how to effectively use it. And that video kind of just goes into what private labeling really is. It's essentially white labeling, right? Again, like that video, the original video was a news broadcast, and people took the video and made remixes and made a bunch of other new content from that original piece of content, and it's been broadcasted probably like a couple 100 million times across the internet. So I just want you to kind of think about that, like that video. As funny as that video is, and as comical as that information was, again, that's just using someone's rights to rework their particular work and create new content. So that's the way I want you to kind of think about private labeling. And the reason why I'm going into that today is because I do all these different videos and giving information about how to create content, how to use content. And then I know the side effect of that is a lot of times people are like, well, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time to figure out who to hire. I don't have time to create a list. I don't have time to write an article. I don't have time to write a blog. I don't have time to create a course. I don't have time to do all these different things. So this particular video is going to give you and teach you a shortcut on how to step forward and utilize someone else's pre-written content, pre-developed content, and then convert that content into your content again. And that's using private labeling rights, which is essentially just white labeling. So I'm going to share my screen and show you guys some insight to platforms that I utilize to kind of figure out, where can I get content from and how do I use that content. So share my screen and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about here shortly. There we go. Ain't nobody got time for that. I just got to hear that one more time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Where that thing at? Ain't nobody got time for that. Share my screen. All right. So when you're talking about private label rights, again, you could just type in PLR in Google and it will come up with unlimited websites. Like that's a whole nother business by itself on private label rights. A lot of people, they'll create content, they'll create blogs. Heavy blog writers made it write hundreds, if not thousands of different blog articles on a given annual rotation, right? So once those articles are done, if they're evergreen content, then they can resell that content to other people to use those same blogs or manipulate them or update them and do whatever they want. So this is another way for you to kind of capitalize on content that you already have. But if you're looking to create content, and this screen right now, what I've done is I've typed in virtual assistant. And for virtual assistant, it's pretty easy to make content. But if you want additional content, you can come to this platform and type in virtual assistant, and this is kind of like a pre-written blog post, pre-written article, and it kind of just gives you visually content that you can utilize for like showcasing it on social media, or obviously the article is already written for you. And again, you can kind of scroll down and kind of see what comes with this article, right? So this article comes with a text document, it comes with a Google Doc, it comes with a PDF as well. This is a sample of some of the content that's already in that document. Obviously, they're not going to show you everything for 100% free on this particular platform. And then you have the usage, like what can you use this for? Now, obviously, you can use it as a handout. You can use it as like free content on a membership website. You can use it for a blog, for article. You can use it for like unlimited amount of different things. So this is like one environment that can give you so much different information that you can utilize quickly and fast, right? Another platform that I've utilized for these PLRs is this one. And this one I typed in beer, right? So let's say you have a beer group and you want to figure out articles to write for these beers, all right? So this is brewing PLR articles from 2016. And again, beer may not have changed that much in the past 100 to 200 years, and maybe some new technologies here and there, but there's probably some good articles in this that you can utilize to leverage to, maybe you make bullets, maybe you make quotes. I'm going to preview some of this content. Let me go ahead and log in so you guys can see what we get access to if we were to download this particular one. 1 second. All right, so I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to type in beer. Search for that. Give it a second. It's going through the database to figure out what do they have access with that particular keyword. All right, so I'm gonna go down to, I think it was brewing. So obviously you can see they have scotch, they have wine, and PLR is one of those things that you can pretty much find anything that you're looking for, any keyword based upon your business, and take that information and regurgitate it. So I'm gonna go ahead and preview what they have access to. I'm just gonna download it. So this particular ID PLR, I think it's an annual subscription or a one-time thing. That way you can kind of get access to their content, and they'll add new content weekly. So I'm opening up the documents folder, and I'm just gonna pull in one of the PDFs so you can kind of see visually what came with that PLR. So this is an entire article for just information. So they got headlines, right? So if I'm looking to think about, okay, what's something I could utilize this document for? I would take one of these headlines and probably add an image behind it. Um, I could take this and create like a quick little quote. I can take this and I can, pull the actual article down right here. So this is like the actual content below it, and I can put that directly on my blog. Now, I would not use this content 100% as it is. I'm really big on like, okay, if I need to create content, I need to create mass content, then I will look at this content from the standpoint of, okay, I have access to all this different information about all this different variables about beer. Then I would take it apart. I would dissect it. I would just completely chop it up and then utilize it in smaller pieces. Let me show you guys some other items that it will have access to. So if I go under products, obviously there's graphics, there's templates, there's all the stuff. But for us, I would just say looking at it from like the ebooks are really good to use, because you can get one ebook and it'll have unlimited content that you can kind of at least source to kind of get general ideas from. Go back to that. So here we are on that. So let's say I'm looking for podcasts. Have it search for podcasting. Give it a minute to process. All right, so I came up with all these different keywords. So podcasting marketing, that's an ebook on that. There's modern podcasting video upgrade. So some of these may have videos, some of these may be courses, some of these just may be books. So I'm not going to use this as an entire course or as a book to sell. You could use this content as a free giveaway as far as your lead magnets. And if you're going to use it for your lead magnets, then you could, you want to look for something that you could rebrand. So let's say I'm looking at this one, podcast mastery, just for example. Click on it, let it load. Then I'm going to see what content comes with this. So it has a squeeze page. So it's just, it tells you right here like what it's covering. So it's covering podcasting 101, types of podcasting, getting started with your first podcast, computer, microphone. So this is like the general startup stuff, right? And then what could you do with this, right? So this is the terms of agreements. I can set, it can be sold, it can be used as personal use. I could package it with other things. So the thing I'm looking for is I need to be able to edit this, right? Can be given away for free. So it's saying, no, we cannot give this away for free. So the thing about PLRs is what we were just realized industry wise is kind of like if you manipulate the document, if you change it, if you do some copy editing and you modify it, or you take out chapters, then you could definitely reuse it, resource it. Again, you're going to be paying for this service to be able to download these PLRs to be able to use them. So this is kind of like the general stuff to look for to kind of see if you could access it, modify it, change it. If you just want to use it as is as a lead magnet, you could definitely do that. So I'm going to go ahead and download this one to take a look at the actual PDF to see what content is coming inside. What content, do I want to probably utilize or leverage that's in this particular report. All right, so I'm going to pull it on my screen. All right, so obviously, like this is not the Boss Uncaged branding. So if I wanted to do that, I'll probably rename this. I'll probably redesign this to look more like the Boss Uncaged brand. The copyright information, obviously you can kind of review it, and it's a disclaimer for the people you're going to give it to, not necessarily for you because you're purchasing the rights to reuse this particular PDF. And then I just go through to see the content. So per podcasting 101's page 7. Let's go down to page 7 and see what's included with it. All right, so podcastings are incredible reach, blah blah blah. So this is like general information. There's some stats in here, so you could copy the stat and use the stat as a post, right? scroll through types of podcasts. Now, obviously, this is solo, duos. This is pretty relative. So then something like this, I would just look at it as top level view and say, okay, ask a question. What types of podcasts are in existence right now? What type of podcast do you have? Are you a solo? Are you a duo? Are you an interview style? Are you groups? So again, I'm looking at this for more so how to step ahead and create more content a lot faster without having to source all this content or create all this content from scratch. I could just literally go through this document and pick different things that I want to use. Getting started with your first podcast. So this would be a post. I would say, hey, who wants to get started with the first podcast? That's a question. And then after that question, maybe in that Facebook post, I'll probably put a lot of people are mistakenly believe that blah, 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 blah. And here's what you need, right? And now I can add to this, I can modify this. And then at the end of this Facebook post or this Instagram post, then I would say, hey, do you want more information? Then go and download the podcasting mastery 101, Boss Uncaged, whatever it is. So this is one way that I just looked through this document really quickly. I just figured out maybe 4 to 5 different posts, 4 to 5 different pieces of content really quickly. And then I can go in and rewrite that content, restage it, reuse it, create additional images to go along with it. Or I could just use it as it is. And again, for me, I'm more of a brander. So I'm not going to never use this content straight up as it is. I'm going to modify this content. But to get access to so much different elements, then your time becomes really, really more efficient. So like you guys were saying before, like, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. Well, think about if you had an hour in one day and you came to this website and you found something based upon what you're doing, like I just did with this podcast mastery. And I skimmed through this in 5 minutes and found really simple content. Because again, when you're educating other people or you're trying to market or sell your products, the goal is you just need to be one step ahead, one chapter ahead, 1 minute ahead of the people that you're educating to get them up to speed. And then as long as you're staying ahead of them, you can keep helping them and moving them along that journey. So that's what this content will be able to do for you. Again, you're giving them insight, you're giving them information, but you're not killing yourself trying to create the information. And then once you get a hold of them or a hold of their email or a hold of them making a purchase from you, then you can kind of give them more of the specialty content. Like, so like Boss Uncaged, for example, a lot of times you will see random posts and articles and you'll see these images, like the quotes. I'm sourcing the quotes. I'm not writing the quotes. The quotes are being sourced. Then I have a team of people that's putting these images behind them, and I'm selecting them based upon keywords, and then I'm running that through a system that automatically posts that content, right? So then, and that's just to put the feelers out there to give a general feeling of what Boss Uncaged is about. Then from that you may hit a landing page. On that landing page, it may be something like this that I'm reusing or I'm redoing, or some content that I've created in the past that I'm rebranding and reorganizing it. And so then I'm taking them down that journey. The journey is like, oh, this Boss Uncaged thing is pretty cool. Then step 2 is like, oh, well, this information is relative to me. Let me get this free download. Then step 3 is then they may get an email. So you can kind of see how these compartments could fit together. And then the ideal goal for me would, they'll come into the Boss Uncaged Academy, or they'll become a guest on Boss Uncaged podcast. So leveraging this content makes your time management so much more effective and so much more relative than sitting down saying, okay, I'm going to create this 30-page document that I have to write from scratch. Right now, I showed you guys about how do you take your videos and transcribe them. Well, imagine that if I'm talking about podcasting, and I've done I think it was like a 40-minute episode talking about how to be a great podcast guest. Well, then I could do another 45 minutes about how to be a great podcast host, right? Put those two together and then combine it with this document. And now we're talking about podcast mastery 101, how to be a great guest, how to be a great host, and then the general 101 information from this document combined together. Now I have 3 separate documents that I've combined together to make something that's more robust, more fruitful than just leveraging this by itself. But again, I'm leveraging all my content and I'm systematically creating more content and compounding it over a period of time. So I just want you guys to kind of take a look into this. If you're not familiar with PLRs, I mean, you are familiar with them. You just don't know that you are. I mean, PLR is nothing more than white labeling, right? If you go to Amazon has white labeling as well, to where I can take a product. I can take this brush, for example, and I can get Boss Uncaged and branded through this company and then sell this as a Boss Uncaged brush, but it's still just the original brush from the original manufacturer. These books and these content that I'm demonstrating to you guys are the same exact philosophy. This hoodie is the same exact thing. This hoodie, it's not a Boss Uncaged created hoodie. It's a hoodie that I'm leveraging that somebody makes, and then I'm putting Boss Uncaged brand on top of it. So I'm white labeling it. So look at this content exactly the same. So now that you have access to this platform, think about all the different things that you can now create. Or you could hire a VA like Kathy that's in our particular group, or you could get somebody else on your team to say, I want to figure out 5 different PLRs based upon what I'm doing. And let's go through these 5 PLRs and let's figure out blog posts, just figure out Facebook posts, just figure out new content. They may have videos on there, right? So you could take these videos and recreate the videos. And that's the easiest thing for you to do if you want to look at creating courses. You could look at the courses on a PLR, find the courses that are highly rated, that has good information. A lot of times these videos are just presentation videos. There's no real talking person, it's just a talking voice, and there's slides. So imagine you take that script and you read that script and you're in front of the camera and you're doing the same exact content over and over again through using these PLR videos. Now that video becomes yours. It becomes 100% yours. It becomes branded as you, but you didn't have to think about the script. You didn't have to think about, what's the next slide. Everything is already there for you. The only thing you have to do now is put the time aside to create the visual content, which is just you in front of a camera like I am right now, reading a script or talking or reciting it based upon your personality versus what you've actually listened to in that video. So hopefully this is helpful. It's going to be a short video. I just want to kind of get you guys on the bandwagon to, make sure that you're putting out content, with value, but this is another tip to where you can expand your content really quickly overnight. You can go from doing 1 post a week to downloading a book like this that's 29 pages and break this 29 pages into 29 days, right? It's pretty easy to do that now that you have access to finding that content without you having to create the content from scratch. So hopefully, let me find my. We don't got time for that. Where's she at? We don't got time for that. I'm looking for it.
What the hell did you just say?
Oh, that's not it.
What the hell did you just say? What the
Oh,
hell
I
did
can't
you
find it.
say?
That sucks. But last thing that I'm going to say to you guys, in addition to like the general PLRs, is there's I'm just trying to think about like what's the best way to describe it. So you have the PLRs, right? And you have the white labeling and you have the rights managed stuff. And then in addition to that, you can kind of go out there and look at other articles as well. And I'm not telling you to steal other articles, but you can go out and do a Google search and figure out a question like 10 tips to brewing beer. And you're going to find a bunch of different websites out there that have all that information about brewing beer. Now, what you can do is look at all 10 articles, read them, and source, not use, but source. Okay, maybe tip 1 from here, maybe tip 3 from here, maybe tip 15 from here. Rewrite these different tips and make it your own. So their top 10 may be good, but you only want to use 3 of them. Someone else, they may have top 20, but you only want to use 5 of those. And then you'll combine those 2 and reorchestrate them based upon the way you visualize it and the way you do things and rewrite that copy. But again, you're not starting from scratch. You're leveraging what's already out there in the world to make things easier for you to create content. Hopefully this was helpful. Obviously I'm high on caffeine today. I don't know, I may do another video later on today. I don't know. I'm all over the place right now, but SA Grant, over and out.